In the heart of Adomfie, where the cocoa trees yielded pods like golden treasures, lived a boy named Kofi. Kofi was known throughout the village for his speed. He was quick to run, quick to laugh, and quickest of all to speak before thinking. His mother, Mama Akua, a diligent trader who sold colorful kente strips in the market, often sighed, "Kofi, slow down. Even the mighty Opanin K, Elder Tortoise, reaches the river, but only because he plots his journey." Kofi, however, loved the rush. He believed that slow movement was for old age and dusty stories. His greatest treasure was his best friend Yal, and his greatest distraction was his talking pet Coco, a brilliant green and blue African gray parrot. Coco had a habit of repeating only the warnings he heard. One sunny morning, while Kofi raced Yao near the great Adomfie tree, a massive ancient baobab where the elders met, Coco squawked from his perch, "Kofi, slow down! Slow down!" Kofi ignored him, showing off his nimble feet to Yao. Beneath the roots of the tree sat Nana Ya, the village's wise elder, polishing an old, dark wooden amulet carved with the Sankofa symbol, a bird looking backward. This amulet held the village's collective memory and truth. Kofi, quick as a flash and thinking only of victory, darted past Nana Ya, kicking up a cloud of ochre dust and missing the precious warning that hung in the air. Pride is a steep hill that truth often trips upon. Kofi and Yao often played near the Adomfie tree, mesmerized by the quiet dignity of Nana Ya, who spent her afternoons there weaving and thinking. One afternoon, Nana Ya briefly left her post to collect cool water from the spring, leaving the beautiful Sankofa amulet resting on a cloth beside her weaving basket. The amulet, smooth and dark like ancient ebony, seemed to pulse with history. "Imagine the power in that," Yao whispered, leaning closer. "It remembers everything the village has ever done." Kofi, feeling suddenly arrogant and quick-witted, decided to prove he was worthy of such power. "It's just wood, y'all. Watch me jump right over it," he boasted, puffing out his chest. Kofi took a running start, aiming for a grand leap, but his foot caught on a stray root. Instead of soaring, he stumbled, landing hard with a sickening crack. The sacred Sankofa amulet lay scattered on the ground, fractured into 3 distinct pieces. A cold, heavy silence fell over the compound. Yao's eyes were wide with terror. Before Nana Ya could return, Kofi snatched up the broken fragments, his heart pounding like a phantom from drum. "Nobody saw," he hissed, stuffing the pieces deep into the pocket of his shorts. "We tell no one, not Mama Akua, not anyone." He had valued a momentary boast over the village's deepest truth, and now the weight of the secret felt heavier than the cocoa sacks Mama Akua carried. The secret turned Kofi's world from sunshine to shadow. Where once his laughter had bounced off the iron roofs of Adomfie, now there was only strained silence. He avoided the Adomfie tree entirely and flinched whenever he heard the soft, slow footsteps of Nana Ya approaching. His quick mind, usually bursting with homework answers and game strategies, was now entirely consumed by fear. He kept the 3 broken pieces of the amulet hidden beneath his sleeping mat, checking them anxiously every night. He found himself picking fights with Ya, simply because Ya was the only other soul who knew the dark truth. The share of knowledge became a poisonous tether, suffocating their friendship. Mama Akua, dedicated to her trading, noticed the change, but mistakenly attributed it to growing pains or exhaustion from play. "Kofi, why are your eyes so heavy?" she asked one evening, rubbing shea butter into his skin. "Are you studying too hard?" Kofi shook his head, unable to meet her trusting gaze. The simple lie burned his throat. Meanwhile, Coco, the African gray, became a constant, rhythmic torment. Now, whenever Kofi moved, Coco didn't just squawk, "Slow down." He also repeated a phrase he had heard Nana Ya murmur. "The truth is light, but a secret is a sack of stones." Kofi covered his ears, desperate to drown out the echoes of his own guilt. He learned that honesty was not just about speaking, but about being free. Nana Ya, the village elder, was the first to sense the broken truth. She had not lost the amulet, for one does not lose memory. One only fails to acknowledge it. When she returned to the Adomfie tree and found the empty cloth, she did not raise an alarm. She simply observed. She watched Kofi, the fastest boy in the village, now moving with the hesitancy of a newborn goat. She saw the shadows under his eyes and the unnatural strain in his posture. Nana Ya knew that the Sankofa symbol was not merely carved wood. It was a mirror to the village's heart, and when it broke, so did the innocence of the one who held the pieces. One market day, as Mama Akua counted her earnings, Nana Ya sat beside her, not mentioning Kofi or the amulet. Instead, she offered a quiet proverb to Mama Akua. The goat does not chew the leaves under the nose of the owner, but the owner must look down from the sun sometimes. Mama Akua, focused on her ledger, only nodded distractedly. But Nana Ya's words were meant for the soul. Later, Nana Ya spoke to Kofi directly, her voice soft as the harmattan breeze, without ever accusing him. Kofi, the greatest strength is not in speed, but in turning back to fix a path you have spoiled, she said, tapping her cane. Kofi felt the heat of shame rise in his cheeks, realizing that true wisdom sees beyond the surface of a hasty action. Overwhelmed by Nana Ya's gentle yet piercing wisdom and the ceaseless squawking of Coco, sack of stones, Kofi finally confessed his accidental transgression and the resulting secret to Ya. Ya, relieved that the burden was shared, listened as Kofi spoke of his shame. Kofi knew he must somehow mend the truth he had shattered. He sought out Nana Ya, trembling, the broken amulet fragments heavy in his palm. Nana Ya listened without interruption. The mender's wisdom lies not in magic, but in sacrifice, she explained. You must find the rare sessa flower, which grows only at the highest peak of the Itowo range, blooming once a year during the quietest night. This flower, she explained, was the symbol of transformation and could help bond the fragmented wood. The journey was long and dangerous, requiring patience, a virtue Kofi severely lacked. Nana Ya then sent him to consult the only creature known for infinite slowness and immense age, Opanin Hye, the elder tortoise. Opanin Hye lived deep in the thickest part of the forest, moving so deliberately he seemed to slow time itself. Kofi, accustomed to rushing, was immediately frustrated by the tortoise's pace. Opanin Hye simply looked at the boy's quick feet and said, "To seek the sessa flower, you must first unlearn the run." Kofi followed Opanin Hye into the dense forest, the journey proving to be an agonizing lesson in patience. Opanin Hye, whose shell was patterned like the earth itself, moved inch by inch, stopping often to examine a dewdrop or listen to the whisper of the grass. Kofi nearly screamed with impatience. "Why so slow, Opanin Hye? The sessa flower will wilt before we reach the foothills." The old tortoise paused, blinking his ancient, knowing eyes. "Speed is the friend of mistakes, little one. Slowness is the friend of observation." He explained that true strength was not the quick burst of a cheetah, but the enduring journey of the river. One hot afternoon, Opanin Hye halted near a thicket of dry brush. A tiny bush baby, its large eyes drooping from thirst, was trapped, unable to reach the shaded pool nearby. Kofi, without thinking of his quest, quickly fetched water in a broad leaf, offering it to the struggling creature. The bush baby drank deeply, its gratitude shining in its eyes. Opanin Hye watched, then nodded slowly. This, Kofi, is compassion. When you slow down, you see the pain of others. You cannot mend what is broken in yourself until you recognize the need to mend the world around you. Kofi realized that the journey was teaching him more than just how to find a flower. It was teaching him how to be gentle. While Kofi endured his slow trek, Mama Akua wrestled with Nana Ya's quiet proverb. The owner must look down from the sun sometimes. Standing amidst her bright stacks of kinte at the busy market, she felt a sudden emptiness. She remembered Kofi's heavy eyes, his jumpiness, and the small, desperate lie he had told about studying too hard. She realized she had been so focused on earning money to provide a comfortable life, the son of success, that she had failed to truly look at the boy right beneath her nose. Her pursuit of financial security, while rooted in love, had ironically created a void of presence. Returning home early, she found Koko the parrot repeating the chilling phrase, "Sack of stones, sack of stones." Mama Akua sat down, finally listening to the echoes in her quiet house. She understood then that a child needs more than shelter and food. They need a listening ear and the space to be honest without fear of judgment. She regretted her distracted replies, remembering the many times she had waved off Kofi's worries with the excuse of her ledger or her looming inventory. Mama Akua knew that her son's pain was partly her own making. She resolved that her most valuable trade must be the genuine, uninterrupted currency of her time and attention. After days of patient, slow travel guided by Open and Kai's deliberate wisdom, Kofi finally reached the peak. There, blooming faintly under the light of the new moon, was the sessa flower, its petals a translucent, soft violet. He harvested it gently, placing it in a pouch made from a broad plantain leaf. His heart, no longer frantic, felt steady and purposeful. He rushed back to Adomfie, but this time, his speed was born of resolve, not panic. He walked into his home, found Mama Akua waiting anxiously, and laid the sessa flower and the broken amulet pieces before her. He sank to his knees, burying his face in her lap. The confession tumbled out. The boast, the slip, the shattering, the fear, and the shame. He spoke of the heavy sack of stones the secret had become. Mama Akua did not shout, nor did she scold. She simply stroked his head, tears wetting his hair. She confessed her own fault, her blindness, her constant busyness, and her failure to truly listen. Hand in hand, they walked to the adinkra tree to face Nanaya. Kofi presented the pieces and the flower, offering no excuses. Nanaya smiled, a deep, warm smile that reached her eyes. "Kofi, you broke the symbol of memory, but you mended the truth in your own heart. This journey was the real work." The next morning, the villagers gathered at the adinkra tree for a mending ceremony. Nanaya explained the importance of the Sankofa Amulet and Kofi's act of courage. She emphasized that communal memory holds both joy and mistakes, and that honesty is the thread that keeps the village whole. Using the crushed, potent petals of the sessa flower mixed with special sap from the baobab, Nanaya began the careful work of binding the broken pieces together. She invited Kofi and Mama Akua to hold the amulet while she chanted, signifying their renewed commitment to communication. Yao and Kofi's friendship, now free from the poisonous secret, was restored, and Yao helped hold the precious pieces steady. Even Koko the parrot was present, perched silently above them, no longer squawking warnings, but simply observing the healing process. When the mended amulet was dry, the cracks were still visible, etched like lightning across the dark wood, but now they glowed softly with the violet hue of the sessa flower. It was stronger than before, marked by truth and transformation. The visible scars were a permanent lesson to all that while mistakes happen quickly, true mending requires the collective patience and dedication of the entire community. Kofi, no longer defined by his need for speed, became known instead for his thoughtful words and patient hands. He often visited Open Kai, not to rush him, but to listen to his slow, enduring wisdom. Mama Akua balanced her trading profits with her family presence, ensuring that her ledger never outweighed her son's need for conversation. She had learned that a house full of goods is empty without a heart full of time. Koko, too, seemed to have learned a new repertoire, repeating Nanaya's frequent motto, "Look back to retrieve what is good." Nanaya hung the mended amulet carefully on the adinka tree. The visible cracks served as a reminder that family and community bonds are not defined by perfection, but by the courage to confess and the commitment to mend what is broken. The villagers learned that when a child carries a secret, it often means the parent was too preoccupied to provide a safe landing for the truth. Kofi learned that true strength is not the ability to jump high, but the humility to kneel low. The story of Kofi and the amulet of Sankofa became a guiding lesson in Adomfie. Parents, do not let your ambition cast a shadow over your child's need for honesty, for the most valuable thing you can give a child is the confidence that they will be loved, not just provided for, even when they break the truth.